These are the biggest Brexit lies told throughout the Brexit campaign.
They were infected with rage.
Britain for the British!
No, bloody hell, not me again.
Brexit was a disappointment led by the Brexiteers of the nation, Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, Dominic Cummings and other astute Brexiteers. We were effectively lied to, and Brexit has turned out to be nothing but a hollow disappointment. Overshadowed by the Partygate scandal. I personally voted Brexit, and I personally regret voting Brexit, and as time goes on I realise that we were duped by duplicitous individuals, and that we should look at ourselves and the way we vote and why we vote and reform it if needs be. We all make stupid decisions, okay? I'm not going to blame my decision to vote Brexit on anyone else but myself, and I admit the fact that I need to learn more, and I need to do more research when voting in the future and make sure that my voting choices are honourable. So in today's video, we're going to do the biggest Brexit lies that were told by these Brexiteer peddling charlatans during the campaign. There's going to be 6 lies we're going to examine. Number 1 is the money saved from leaving the EU will result in the NHS getting £350 million a week. Do you remember that red bus? That one. Number 2, a free trade deal with the EU will be the easiest thing in human history. Number 3, 2/3 of British jobs in manufacturing are dependent on demand from Europe. Number 4, Turkey is going to join the EU and millions of people will flock to the UK. Remember this, Nigel Farage? You should do, you're the one who peddled it. And number 5, Brexit will lead to Scotland renewing calls for independence. In all fairness, they did, but they just didn't get anywhere. Number 6, Brexit does not mean the UK will leave the single market. This was perhaps the biggest lie told throughout the entire campaign. Okay, this is the wonderful red bus that was peddled to everybody. So, the money saved from leaving the EU will result in the NHS getting £350 million a week. One of the most prominent claims made by the Leave campaign was that the UK would take back £350 million a week once it left the EU, with the sum going to the NHS. Okay, mate. The UK Statistics Authority has since said this was a clear misuse of official statistics, most notably because the figure did not take into account the money the UK gets back from the EU after paying into the budget. So it didn't take into account the rebate that we get from the EU. After taking into account the rebates, the figure is believed to be close to 250 million, but the question remains whether the money will actually go to the US, to the NHS. Of course it won't, because the Conservatives are in charge. On the day after the Brexit referendum result, Nigel Farage, who had been more closely associated with the Leave EU campaign than Vote Leave, disowned the pledge by saying it was one of the mistakes that had been made by those wanting us out of the bloc. A poll by Ipsos Mori, published in June 2016, found that nearly half the British public believed the claim. Number 2, a free trade deal with the EU will be the easiest thing in human history. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. 1 year after the referendum, Liam Fox said a post-Brexit free trade deal with the EU would be the easiest thing in human history. The free trade agreement that we will have to do with the European Union should be one of the easiest in history. Watch this space. We're already beginning with zero tariffs, and we're already beginning at the point of maximal regulatory equivalence, as it is called. In other words, our rules and laws are exactly the same. However, the negotiations were far from easy, and with the clock ticking, the prospect of no-deal Brexit at that time seemed very, very likely. And basically, Boris Johnson took it to the wire and even extended it. And the deal he got turned out to be half-baked, not done, and didn't address the Northern Ireland Protocol very well. Number 3, 2/3 of British jobs in manufacturing are dependent on demand from Europe. Alan Johnson, a Remainer and former Shadow Chancellor, claimed 2/3 of manufacturing jobs were dependent on Europe after looking at outdated analysis that had been conducted by the Centre of Economics and Business Research, CEBR. The figure used by Mr Johnson compared the total number of manufacturing jobs, 2.5 million, with the 1.7 million jobs the CEBR had said were dependent on the EU trade. However, the two figures were not comparable, and more recent analysis shows that the figure is more likely to be closer to 15%. Now, this is a big one. Number 4, Turkey is going to join the EU and millions of people will flock to the UK. Didn't happen. Though Turkey has been an official EU candidate state since 1999, talks have long stalled, and there are no prospects of the country joining the bloc anytime soon. The European Parliament voted in favour of suspending negotiations with Turkey just months after the Brexit referendum, based on the human rights abuses. Turkey are not the most astute of people. During the campaign, Michael Gove claimed that Turkey and 4 other countries could join the EU, and claimed that this was possible that it could happen within 4 years. The claim was used to argue for stricter immigration laws, as forecasts suggest new countries joining the EU could lead to 5.2 million extra people moving into the UK. But he did say after the Brexit referendum that if it was up to him, the campaign would have had a different feel, that he wouldn't have exploited the Turkey campaign so much. Number 5, Brexit will lead to Scotland renewing calls for independence. Now, technically this one is kind of true. Nicola Sturgeon did get on her high horse and call for more, and call for another independence referendum. What happened was, though, she got caught in her own little scandal, and Hamza Youssef took charge of the SNP. Now no one gives a shit about independence for Scotland. And finally, Brexit. This is perhaps the biggest lie. Brexit does not mean the UK will leave the single market. Yes, it does. That's it. Absolutely nobody is talking about shredding our place in the single market. This is from Daniel Hannan, the Tory MEP, who is often described as the godfather of Brexit. Repeatedly assured voters that Britain would not leave the single market if they voted to leave the EU. Owen Paterson, the guy who was lobbying and got suspended, made only a madman would leave the market. We left it. We left the EU single market. Yeah, so another lie. So yes, these were the biggest lies of Brexit, and God, weren't they some lies? The magnitude of these lies, the magnitude of our current politicians who lie through their teeth, and then after the referendum were like, oh, I wish the campaign had a different feel. It's not the way I would have gone. Then don't go that way. Ipsos said that the red bus equated to half the people believing it. Okay. That was the turning point for Brexit, was it not? That's, if you think of Brexit, that's the main thing you think of. I always think of the big red bus, 350 million quid a week. Remember that. The politicians are charlatans. They are not your friends. Boris Johnson is not your friend. Thank you for watching the video. If you've liked the video, don't forget to share the video, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. It means the world to me, and it means that we can go on making great videos for you guys. Remember, make love, not war. Because what's the point? Did you like the video? Then hit the subscribe button or watch some more videos. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm and helps the channel grow. Thank you very much.